Merry meet, Annie here. So what's a witch gonna do in the turning of the new calendar year? Do you find it strange when people wish you Happy New Year's on New Year's Eve? It's one of the times of year, strangely, considering how I'm not part of the common religious communities that surround me here in the United States. You'd think I'd find all kinds of times during the year when my differences seem rather obvious. No, since my practice is mostly cloistered and private, I'm not in conversations with others about the difference. I never minded even when people say Merry Christmas, because I was raised in a Christian family and the memories I have of my grandparents at Christmas time are so beautiful that Merry Christmas always makes me happy when someone says it. It might not be my holiday, but it's my memory. Then comes New Year's Eve. And all that hysteria and the yelling out of Happy New Year's and singing songs and everything that we do. And it always feels weird to me, because I'm already 3 months into the new year. I celebrated in October at Samhain. It's not a Happy New Year for me. Oh, it's a nice night spent with friends or however I choose to spend it. But everybody's busy, throwing their things they want to get rid of into fires or making New Year's resolutions. Well, not in the same place. So I decided I wanted a relationship to the calendar year. I wanted Happy New Year to maybe something that would trigger me as a witch in a positive way. Then I got to thinking about all the times in a witch's life that are liminal. The times that are between one thing and another. For instance, back at Samhain, between the light half and the dark half of the year, between summer and winter, in the old sense, when there were only 2 seasons to the year, between growing to being still, giving to being a state of maybe acceptance might be the best word. There's a place that's neither what comes before it or what comes after it. We know it as all the aspects and sabbats. We know it'll be the moons, maybe even all the phases of the moons. I know I feel it the strongest at dark and full moons, but sometimes when I need it, I feel it in between. Moments when the moon reminds us that even what was yesterday is not tomorrow. It's not about seasons. It can come about days that become liminal transitions in our lives. But that isn't the only thing that we experience that's liminal. Our birthdays could be seen as liminal. When we give birth to our children, could be seen as liminal. Talk about something being different from before and after. Anniversaries, graduations, weddings or hand fastings. Our life is filled with moments that were not quite the same after the moments. There was a before and there was an after, and for just a moment, we're poised in the middle, that place of all possibilities of everything we were becoming something. And maybe something quite different. Maybe something only shaded with a bit of difference. That got me thinking about the new year, the calendar new year. It's a liminal transition, if I choose to make it so. It's another opportunity for what was and what might be, and the feeling of being between. It fits out well for me at this time of the year. This is usually when we're actually starting to experience winter where I live. Snow for the first time, cold for the first time. A real feeling of moving from autumn into winter, no matter that it's been winter for a little bit of time. It's also far enough out from Samhain that I can stop and think about the promises I made to myself going into Samhain about stillness and quiet, whatever shadow work I choose to do each year, however I choose to spend time with myself, with my gods, the promise I made for the turning of that season in October. It's an interesting time then at this calendar new year to see where I am in relationship to that. Have I gone where I needed to be? We're not moving out of the darkness yet, even though those days are getting slightly longer. It's still a good time to see where we are in relationship to the darkness we chose during the dark turning of the spiritual wheel of the year. Did we go deep enough? Did we forget to even try? Or have we gone there but have forgotten the purpose? That we go there in order to find our own guiding light, which brings us back out and into the world in the next turning of the year. When I stop to think of the calendar New Year as an opportunity to feel and experience where we've come in the darker time of the year has taken us, whether we've given it proper respect and attention, what we've been sensing we can make of it, because this is the time we can start thinking about the promise we're going to make to it. We bring something out of this into the brighter time of the year. So what better time could there be than this calendar year, which kind of means nothing in a spiritual sense? But what if it's a chance to take like a little test, kind of a little litmus test of where we are in relationship to the dark time of the year, just before we actually start feeling a lot more of the presence of turning into the lighter time of the year. Where are we in relationship to what we promised months ago? It's not too late to re-engage if we've drifted. It's not too late to go deeper if we failed to. It's also not too late to realize if we went deep, and this is my tendency, I go deep and want to stay there. It's the kind of person I am. I'm very introverted and could spend all my time alone. You stick me in a cave with a good fire and some food every now and then, I'd probably be a happy witch. It takes a lot to bring me out. Well, my meditations on where I went, what of my promises to Samhain I kept in that turning of the year, and where I am in relationship to that as the calendar year begins, I had a bit of an epiphany that I'm really liking being in that still place. But I've forgotten it's not why I chose to go there. I chose to go there to regroup, to rediscover myself, to fall in love with myself all over again, to open my heart in that quietest of places to my gods and my guides. And then, in responsibility to that, start making something of that to take out into this wider experience of who I am. And I found myself, New Year's Eve, the calendar New Year's Eve, realizing I hadn't made any progress in that regard. I went there, but I was kind of staying there. So what about you and the calendar New Year? A lot of us just say, well, it doesn't mean anything to me because it's not part of my path. But it's still a liminal moment. An opportunity to reflect, to take stock, to make sure that we are continually evolving and growing. For me, it's a call. It's a call to the light. The solstice, of course, reconfirms that, the winter solstice. But it took my reflections on what could New Year's mean for me to realize that I had some hint at the solstice of the promise I needed to make to the light. But I hadn't really thought about how am I going to do it? How am I going to manifest it? It's not the time of year to make it manifest, but it certainly is the time of year to be making the plan. How about that calendar year turning for you? Any meaning whatsoever? Do you even want it to have any meaning? Maybe it means everything to you. And maybe Samhain isn't the turning of the new year for you. It is for me because I've always resonated with the concept that the day begins at sundown. It doesn't feel like it starts at sunrise to me. It's all about going into the darkness as the beginning. So the new year at Samhain has always felt good to me. I always look forward to going into that time. But if you couldn't choose that, if it didn't feel right for you, What would you choose as the beginning of your year? What point in the year would you start? Samhain's always going to be it for me. But guess what? I'm going to rethink Samhain come every calendar New Year's. I wish you all mirth and reverence.